Welcome to Audiobook Insights channel. In this video, we will listen to the book How to Be an Adult in Relationships by David Richo. How to Be an Adult in Relationships explores the 5 keys to mindful loving, attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing. David Richo guides us through the process of incorporating these principles into our relationships to build deeper and more meaningful connections. This book delves into the impact of childhood experiences on our adult relationships, offering strategies for healing emotional scars and overcoming fears of intimacy. Richo combines Western psychological therapy with mindfulness practices to help readers resolve past issues and enhance their ability to give and receive love. By embracing the 5 keys of mindful loving, listeners will learn how to cultivate healthier, more fulfilling relationships. This book provides practical advice for overcoming personal challenges, fostering emotional growth, and creating a lasting bond with your partner. Exploring the mystery of love, insights from David Richo. It may sound like a cliché, but love is a mystery. No matter how much we love, or for how long, love is something that will always elude our understanding. Many of us define love as an intense feeling of affection. But David Richo sees it differently. To him, love is a way of being present. Through love, we gain a deeper understanding of each other and the world we inhabit. We're all born with the capacity to give and receive love. However, those who have suffered neglect or abuse in their childhoods or in past relationships may find it difficult to relate and commit to another person. The wounds of the past can create barriers that prevent us from fully opening up to love, leaving us feeling isolated and disconnected. In these blinks, we'll explore how you can be more loving to others and more open to receiving love. Using the Buddhist concept of mindfulness, we'll look at practices for resolving childhood issues, relinquishing fears of intimacy, and creating happier relationships. By incorporating mindfulness into our approach to love, we can heal old wounds and cultivate deeper connections with ourselves and others. Understanding love as presence. David Richo challenges the conventional definition of love as merely an intense feeling of affection. Instead, he views love as a way of being present. This presence involves being fully attentive and engaged with another person, allowing us to see and appreciate them for who they truly are. It's about being there in moments of joy and sorrow, providing support and understanding without judgment. Healing childhood wounds. Many people struggle with love because of unresolved issues from their childhoods. Neglect or abuse can leave deep emotional scars that affect our ability to trust and connect with others. Mindfulness practices can help us address these wounds. By bringing awareness to our thoughts and emotions, we can begin to understand and process the pain of the past. This awareness allows us to let go of the defensive mechanisms we've built and open ourselves up to the possibility of love. Relinquishing fears of intimacy. Fear of intimacy is another common barrier to love. This fear often stems from a fear of vulnerability. We worry that if we let someone get too close, they might hurt us or reject us. Mindfulness teaches us to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness. By being mindful, we can observe our fears without being controlled by them. This detachment helps us take the risk of opening up to others, knowing that vulnerability is an essential part of deep and meaningful relationships. Creating happier relationships. Mindfulness can also improve the quality of our relationships. Being present means truly listening to our partners, friends, and family members. It means paying attention to their needs and feelings and responding with empathy and compassion. When we practice mindfulness, we become more attuned to the subtleties of our interactions, allowing us to address issues before they become major problems. This attentiveness fosters a sense of security and trust, which are fundamental to any healthy relationship. Practical mindfulness practices. Meditative reflection. Set aside time each day to meditate and reflect on your thoughts and feelings. This practice helps you become more aware of your emotional state and how it affects your interactions with others. Mindful communication. Practice active listening during conversations. Focus on what the other person is saying without planning your response. This attentiveness shows that you value and respect their perspective. Emotional journaling. Keep a journal to document your thoughts and feelings about love and relationships. Writing helps you process emotions and gain insights into your patterns of behavior. Body scan meditation. Use body scan meditation to connect with your physical sensations. This practice grounds you in the present moment and helps you release tension and stress. Loving kindness meditation. Practice loving kindness meditation by sending positive thoughts and wishes to yourself and others. This meditation cultivates compassion and empathy, enhancing your ability to love and be loved. Love, with all its complexities and mysteries, remains a fundamental part of the human experience. By embracing David Richo's perspective that love is about being present, we can transform our approach to relationships. Mindfulness offers powerful tools for healing past wounds, overcoming fears of intimacy, and building happier, more fulfilling connections. Through mindfulness, we learn to be more loving to others and more open to receiving love, enriching our lives and the lives of those around us. Key Idea 1. 5 aspects of mindful loving are central to love relationships. What's your first childhood memory? Perhaps it's your parents reading you a story, or bandaging your knee after you fell. As children, we rely on our parents to meet our emotional needs and to make us feel safe and wanted. The emotional support we seek when we're young can be broken down into what the author calls the 5 A's. They are attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing others to be who they are. Receiving these 5 hallmarks of love is crucial to building a coherent identity and personality and to developing self-esteem. But they're also essential to building strong bonds with our partners in adulthood. Here's the key message: 5 aspects of mindful loving are central to love relationships. At every stage of our lives, we need the nurturance of loving people who are attuned to our feelings and responsive to our needs. The 5 A's outline all the things we need as individuals to foster personal power, cultivate serenity, and enhance our ability to love and be loved. Let's take a look at these 5 things. 1. Attention, the foundation of connection. First up is attention. In relationships, being attentive to our partners means listening to their thoughts and emotions. Often, this involves being what the author calls a mindful witness. Our loved ones may have suffered abuse, betrayals, or hurts in the past and, as their partners, it's our job to listen to their stories respectfully. Giving attention means being present, not just physically but emotionally and mentally. It requires us to put aside distractions and fully engage with our partner's experiences, validating their feelings and making them feel seen and heard. 2. Acceptance, embracing each other fully. Second, there is acceptance of ourselves and others. Mutual acceptance is the bedrock of a healthy relationship. When we find someone who loves us, with all our feelings and emotional burdens, we feel liberated. We don't have to hide behind a mask because our partner loves us for all that we are. Acceptance involves acknowledging our partner's strengths and weaknesses without judgment. It means embracing their individuality and supporting them in their journey, even when it's difficult. This unconditional acceptance fosters a safe space where both partners can be their authentic selves. 3. Appreciation, valuing and encouraging growth. The third thing is appreciation. This involves valuing our partner's gifts, knowing and understanding their limitations, and supporting them in the pursuit of their dreams and desires. Showing appreciation can be as simple as acknowledging their efforts, expressing gratitude for their presence in our lives, and celebrating their achievements. Appreciation strengthens the bond between partners by reinforcing positive behaviors and making each other feel valued and respected. It's about recognizing the unique contributions each person brings to the relationship and nurturing a culture of mutual respect and encouragement. 4. Affection, building emotional and physical intimacy. Affection is the fourth A on the list. It involves holding and touching our partners in respectful ways. Receiving affection in the form of kisses, hugs, or even a gentle smile across a room helps us feel loved and wanted. It meets our childlike need to feel safe and secure. Affection is not limited to physical touch, it also includes verbal expressions of love and care. Consistent displays of affection help maintain emotional intimacy and trust, creating a warm and loving environment where both partners feel cherished and protected. 5. Allowing, embracing life and love as they are. The fifth and final A is allowing life and love to be just what they are, with all their sorrow, ecstasy, and heartache, without trying to take control. This is what it takes to be present in a relationship, to love and to be loved. Allowing means accepting the natural ebb and flow of life and relationships without imposing unrealistic expectations. It involves letting go of the need to control outcomes and being open to the unpredictable nature of love. By allowing our partners to grow and evolve, we create a dynamic and resilient relationship that can weather the highs and lows of life together. In conclusion, the 5 A's of mindful loving, attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing are essential to building and maintaining healthy, fulfilling relationships. By incorporating these principles into our interactions with our partners, we can foster deeper connections, enhance our emotional well-being, and create a loving environment where both individuals can thrive. These 5 aspects of love remind us that meaningful relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and the willingness to be present for each other through all of life's experiences. Key idea 2. Childhood can leave us with emotional scars that affect our adult relationships. When David Richo was a child, he spent several weeks each summer at his Aunt Margaret's farm. He remembers how her fridge was always brimming with food, while the one at his parents' house was always empty. Later in life, the author realized that he had spent most of his childhood feeling hungry, not just physically, but emotionally, too. He tried to tell himself that his parents did the best they could. But he couldn't shake the feeling that he'd been deprived of love and support his whole life. The key message here is that childhood can leave us with emotional scars that affect our adult relationships. Our experiences growing up significantly influence our behavior in later relationships. For example, people with unhappy childhoods may be more likely to tolerate abuse from their partners in adulthood. This is because their primal needs, the 5 A's of attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and allowing, were unmet when they were children. What's the psychology behind this? When abused children feel unloved, they keep going back to their parents to fill the void, only to be shunned again. They think to themselves, "You keep hurting me, but I can't leave you." This cycle of seeking love from unavailable sources ingrains a pattern that often continues into adulthood. This is why many people stay in abusive relationships in adulthood. Instead of thinking that their partners were wrong to abuse them, they believe that they are the ones who are defective. They keep going to their partners for love, only to find that those partners have none to give. The pattern of seeking validation from an unresponsive or abusive partner mimics their childhood experiences, where they were constantly searching for love and acceptance from their parents but never receiving it. Many children who have been abused are unable to reach out for help with these wounds. Instead, they may reenact the past in their relationships. For example, adults who grew up in stormy households may see stress as normal. So when things are running smoothly with their partners, they find a way to create unrest. This reenactment is a subconscious effort to replicate familiar environments, even if they are unhealthy. How do you break out of this vicious cycle? First, you have to heal your past traumas. That means grieving your childhood feelings of loss or neglect. Acknowledging these feelings is the first step towards healing. This involves recognizing the impact of your childhood experiences on your current behavior and understanding that your past does not have to dictate your future. To begin this process, you need to share your painful memories with a person you trust, like a therapist or a friend. Speaking aloud about past abuse can lead to what the author calls mirroring, meaning that we understand, accept, and allow our feelings. When we have our feelings mirrored back to us by a mindful listener, we no longer have to feel emotionally deprived. This validation is crucial for healing, as it helps us see our experiences from a different perspective and provides the empathy we might have lacked in our childhood. A mindful listener plays a significant role in the healing process. By providing a safe space for you to express your feelings and experiences, a therapist or a trusted friend can help you navigate your emotions. This mirroring process allows you to feel seen and heard, which is essential for building self-esteem and developing healthy relationships. Through this healing process, we can learn to give and receive abundant love and trust. As we become more aware of our emotional wounds and work through them, we start to develop healthier patterns of behavior. We learn to set boundaries, recognize unhealthy dynamics, and seek relationships that are nurturing and supportive. Healing childhood scars is crucial for fostering healthy adult relationships. By understanding the impact of our past, acknowledging our emotional wounds, and seeking support from mindful listeners, we can break the cycle of abuse and develop healthier, more fulfilling connections. The journey to healing involves grieving our past traumas, sharing our experiences, and learning to love ourselves and others unconditionally. Through this process, we can transform our lives and create relationships based on mutual respect, understanding, and love. Key idea 3. Working through our issues involves paying attention and letting go. Have you ever made bread? If you have, then you'll know how the process goes. You have to knead the dough, and then sit and wait for it to rise. Only then can you put it in the oven to bake. This is similar to the author's way of working through problems. This practice combines the effort of rooting out negative thoughts and emotions with the stillness of sitting and waiting. Here's the key message: working through our issues involves paying attention and letting go. When the author works with clients, he draws on the tools of Western psychological therapy and the practice of mindfulness. Sound complicated? Let's take a look at how this works. In his psychology work, the author encourages clients to identify their issues and pay attention to the feelings attached to them. Then he asks his clients to hold these feelings until they change or reveal something deeper within them. After this, he introduces mindfulness, an ancient Buddhist practice that brings our attention to what is happening in the present. Through mindfulness techniques, clients learn to notice the thoughts or feelings that arise within them, but instead of holding on to them, they learn to let them go. Mindfulness is about applying the 5 A's to the realities and limitations of your life. You attend to them, accept them, appreciate them, feel affection for them, and allow them as they are. So how can you apply mindfulness to your daily life? Well, one way is through meditation. You can start by meditating for a few minutes a day, and then increase the duration over time. To begin, sit in a quiet space with your eyes open or closed, your back straight, and your hands placed in your lap. Pay attention to your breath. When thoughts or anxieties enter your mind, notice them, label them as thoughts, and then return to your breathing. Of course, this takes practice. Eventually, your breath will drown out any distracting thoughts in the back of your mind. So, just like the labor of baking bread, staying emotionally and spiritually healthy takes discipline, work, and patience. To iron out past issues, you have to get comfortable with actively working through your problems, and then allowing them to drift away. Key idea 4. Once we know how to care for and respect ourselves, we can engage in rewarding relationships. In the movies, love is often portrayed as a happy accident. A typical scene might go like this: a woman walks down the street and bumps into a man. His coffee goes flying. As she tries to help him clean his soiled coat, the pair lock eyes and smile. After chatting for a while, the guy scribbles down his number on the back of a receipt, and they agree to meet again. By the end of the film, church bells are ringing. This scenario might sound too good to be true. But it's not far from what can happen in real life. In fact, when we don't actively look for love, and are content with ourselves, we open up a space for the right person to walk in. Here's the key message. Once we know how to care for and respect ourselves, we can engage in rewarding relationships. Getting to know someone can be scary, especially for those who have been hurt in the past. That's why taking care of yourself in the dating game is essential. So how can you do this? First, you make yourself an unconditional promise that you will not change yourself to make someone want you. Doing this will only wreak havoc on your self-esteem. Before you go on your next date, try saying the following: I want a partner, and I am taking care of myself as the first step. And I remain the sentry over my vulnerable inner self during this process. In terms of choosing a partner, it's important to pick someone who wants the same style of relationship as you do. For example, not everyone is cut out for a fully committed relationship. Some are happy with light relationships or friendships, and enjoy only occasional intimacy. On the other hand, some people want to feel a deep connection with a significant other, and enjoy the closeness that commitment can bring. Before entering a relationship, make a list of your needs, values, and wishes for your partnership, and what level of commitment you desire. Then, share it with your potential partner. The ideal scenario: both of you are on the same page and willing to meet each other's needs. Finding the right partner involves being open to people walking into your life. But you also have to love yourself enough to put your needs and wants on the table. Key idea 5. Relationships evolve through 3 phases to reach their full potential. Albert Einstein once said that looking into nature can help us understand our human story. What did he mean by that? Well, nature works in cycles. A rose starts out as a bud, it blooms, it dies, and then returns as a bud. This is how we can think of relationships, too. They start out with romance, they progress into conflict, and then repose in commitment. And these cycles can repeat themselves again and again. We know that love is authentic when it stays intact through all of these phases. Here's the key message: relationships evolve through 3 phases to reach their full potential. Let's examine each of these stages. First up is romance, which can be described as a deeply moving experience of joy. In this stage of a relationship, we become enveloped in the other person. We're utterly enchanted by all that they are. The thing is, romance is fleeting. Nature designed romance to bring couples together to mate and propagate the species, but it was never meant to last. That's why some couples break up after the romance stage. They get so caught up in the thrill of being in love that they are disappointed when the excitement fades. After romance, couples naturally transition into conflict. In this phase, the romantic image you and your partner have of each other turns into the real image. You begin to see the darker sides of each other's character, which you may not have seen before. This phase is totally normal. And it's a necessary part of building a lasting bond. Without the struggle of conflict, we might get lost in one another and lose ourselves along the way. If couples can work cooperatively to iron out their issues in the conflict stage, they can then pass into the phase of commitment. But what does commitment look like? In a committed relationship, couples are able to give and receive the 5 A's. They let go of their desire to be right in arguments and instead search for compromise. They may still fight, but they do not stop loving each other. So if you feel like your relationship is transitioning from a phase of romance into conflict, stick with it. Being able to let go of one stage and shift into another makes for healthy relationships that stand the test of time. Key idea 6. Letting go of fears can create a lasting bond between you and your partner. When we're caught up in the throes of romance, it's hard to imagine ever feeling scared to be with the person we love. But, as relationships progress, and couples grow closer, fears of betrayal and intimacy, as well as other things, can arise. Don't worry, this is totally normal. In fact, fears can even help us strengthen our relationships, as long as we don't let those fears control us. Here's the key message: letting go of fears can create a lasting bond between you and your partner. According to the author, engulfment and abandonment are the central relationship fears that couples have to overcome. So what do they mean? Well, engulfment is the fear that, if someone gets too close to us physically or emotionally, we'll lose our freedom. In this scenario, the 5 A's are off balance. When we feel engulfed, our partners are giving us too much attention or affection, and not enough acceptance and allowing. Then there's abandonment, the fear that if someone leaves us, we may not survive emotionally. If we think back to the 5 A's again, abandonment means a loss of attention, appreciation, or affection. In both cases, our fear comes from feeling powerless. We feel trapped, controlled, and at the mercy of others. So how can we learn to manage these fears? The author recommends using the AAA approach, which stands for admit, allow, and act as if. First, you have to admit your fears to yourself and others. This involves naming your fears without blaming anyone. For example, you could say to your partner, "I am scared to get close to you because," or "my fear of betrayal comes from." Then, you have to allow yourself to feel your fears, without judging them. This aligns with our practice of mindfulness. We allow our feelings to emerge, we recognize them for what they are, and then we let them go. Next up, act as if you have no fear. For example, if you fear abandonment, try to get comfortable being away from your partner for 1 minute more each day. And, if you fear engulfment, try to stay away from your partner for 1 minute less. Working through our fears involves allowing ourselves to feel them. We can only master fear if we learn to tolerate its discomfort. Key idea 7. When relationships end, resolve your issues and leave peacefully. If you've ever left a relationship, you'll know how painful it can be. When letting go of a partner, you're not only giving up the bond you two had, you're also giving up the hope and work you invested in keeping the relationship going. The thing is, struggling to keep something alive that has already expired is ultimately more painful than letting the relationship die. If you feel that the bond between you and your partner is waning, it might be better in the long run to end the relationship and move on. Here's the key message: when relationships end, resolve your issues and leave peacefully. Here are a few signs that your relationship may be nearing its end. A big indicator that a relationship is on its way out is if you no longer feel happy and safe in each other's company. If you're not regularly making time for one another, and if you struggle to be intimate sexually, these could be signs that your emotional bond is dissipating. Another indicator is if you no longer trust your partner. Maybe you're constantly checking the other person's phone, scared by the thought that he or she is unfaithful. Or maybe you catch yourself worrying that your partner might abandon you. These actions show that your emotional needs, the 5 A's, are not being met. Ultimately, if you feel like you're unable to love, respect, and support your partner, and he or she is unable to do the same for you, then it might be time to consider ending the relationship peacefully. Here are some strategies for how to do so. First, make sure to discuss with your partner the reasons why you want to end your relationship. It's important for both of you to talk everything out so that you can address, process, and resolve your concerns together. Next up, give yourself the space to grieve alone and let go. It's no use jumping into a new relationship hoping it'll heal the wounds. You need to give yourself the time to mourn the relationship and learn from it. The most important thing: try not to see leaving a relationship as a totally negative thing. Instead, see it as a new beginning. Once you've let the chips fall where they may, you can use the pieces you're left with as tools for building whatever comes next. Key idea 8. Loving one person teaches us how to love the rest of the world. One of the author's earliest recollections is feeling loved by his grandma. When his mother was absent, his grandma would sit beside him as he worked on a puzzle or listened to his favorite radio show. Now, as an adult, the author always remembers the comfort and security he got from this older female presence. It was the love he received from his grandmother that taught him how to love, too. Here's the key message: loving one person teaches us how to love the rest of the world. When we grow up and enter adult relationships, we learn how to love another person intimately. The author believes that this then teaches us how to love the entire world. How? Through commitment. By giving and receiving the 5 A's, resolving problems, and keeping our agreements with and promises to one person, we learn how to do it with others. Our relationships with our immediate partners can also teach us to be compassionate. When we enter into an adult partnership, we accept that our significant other is imperfect, but we commit ourselves to accept and love that person anyway. Let's look at how love and compassion play out in real life. Consider the following situation: you're a manager at a large corporation, and you want to foster cooperation and good feeling among your staff. How do you do that? Well, you can use the 5 A's as a blueprint for supporting your staff emotionally, just as you would for your partner. Pay attention to your employees' feelings and concerns. Accept their gifts and limitations, and appreciate their accomplishments and difficulties. You can also show personal affection through trust and encouragement, and allow them decision-making power. And what about compassion? Well, being compassionate basically means being respectful of the power and potential others have inside them. If you're a manager, give your employees the tools to learn a new skill, and then step back and allow them to work things out for themselves. Be on hand when they ask for support. So, when we make a commitment to a partner by giving the 5 A's, we're able to deliver these 5 aspects of love to the world. All of us are born with the abundant possibility of bringing love to the world, and we can teach ourselves and others how to do this. Final summary. There are 5 aspects of love that make for happy relationships. We feel loved when we receive attention, acceptance, appreciation, affection, and when we're allowed to be who we are. By giving and receiving these 5 A's, our relationships can become deeper and more meaningful, and they can even change the world.